Former HUD employee Thomas Safran has been charged with fraud over tax credit affordable housing apartment properties. Read all about it at www.not-hud-compliant.spaces.live.com. California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Housing and Urban Development Department have been quizzed on federal violations of law by Thomas Safran Rittenhouse Square in Los Angeles. Thomas Safran Properties owns Rittenhouse Square and also Skyline Village. Both of these properties have been accused of not complying with HUD regulations. That's HUD 4350 Compliance Manual. The manual can be viewed on the internet or at your local law library. That's HUD Manual 4350. That is the compliance manual for tax credit apartment properties. We asked California's Tax Credit Allocation Committee to investigate Brentwood, California's Thomas Safran Associates and Tustin, California's Urban Futures for their non-compliance with HUD. We asked the Tax Credit Allocation Committee to report them to the IRS as their website claims that they do, and the committee refused. We believe that tax credit properties are a shelter for the rich that build them, but a fraudulent and unfair deception for those citizens who apply for housing. We have talked to many government agencies, local, state, and federal, and there is not one government committee set up to take complaints from applicants to these properties, and yet these properties receive millions of dollars in construction monies from local, state, and federal government agencies, and they receive millions of dollars in federal and state tax credits. But there is no compliance with HUD regulations. Our site is run by the Citizens for Fair Treatment of Applicants to Tax Credit Affordable Apartment Housing Properties. We are not to be confused with the tax credits for those who buy new homes and houses. We are a website set up to assist applicants applying to affordable apartment housing apartments. Our primary focus is to help applicants become more knowledgeable of HUD 4350 Compliance Manual and what is expected in the interview process. If you are an applicant, you should know that there are about 16 types of income that must be excluded when they are calculating your annual income. This can mean the difference between whether you get an apartment and how much rent you will pay. For example, temporary, non-recurring, or sporadic income must be excluded. For example, if you worked overtime but on a non-regular sporadic basis, it must be excluded. But what we have seen with properties like Thomas Safran, Rittenhouse Square, Los Angeles, and Urban Futures, who monitors affordable housing apartments, what we have seen is that they blatantly and repeatedly have not complied with HUD regulations, and they refuse to exclude income that is temporary or sporadic or non-recurring. This has been reported to Attorney General Jerry Brown, as well as the IRS's Timothy Geithner, as well as number of members of Congress, including Senator Dianne Feinstein. But the Tax Credit Allocation Committee, there's a committee set up in each state. The one for California is under Director William Paveo and Treasury Director Bill Lockyer, and they have also refused to investigate individual complaints against tax credit properties. Thomas Safran Associates claims to manage or own about 3,000 apartments in California. Urban Futures of Tustin, California claims to monitor about 4,000 affordable tax credit apartments in California. This has been reported as a pattern and practice to Attorney General Jerry Brown. He has been asked to take steps to reclaim the tax credits of Thomas Safran Associates properties. Los Angeles Rittenhouse Square is located at 3300 Central Avenue and they have thus far refused to follow HUD guidelines. About 20 pages of documentary evidence was forwarded to Senator Dianne Feinstein. Feinstein voiced no opinion of what she felt about clear non-compliance with HUD regulation. It is not known whether Feinstein has ownership interest in any affordable housing apartment properties. Discrimination complaints have also been filed against many public officials connected to Thomas Safran Associates, including the Mayor and Council of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles Housing Authority. Thomas Safran and Rittenhouse Square are also named in a Better Business Bureau complaint for deception, fraud, and unlawful business practices. If you wish to look up the code section, it is 24 CFR, that's Code of Federal Regulations, 24 CFR 5.609, such code that can be viewed on the internet or at your local law library. If you apply at affordable apartment properties receiving tax credits, the exclusions to income must be applied. If you have been denied an apartment as being over income, you may be entitled to damages if they did not make the exclusions. You probably have heard recently about how the IRS failed to account for thousands who have not been qualified for $8,000 tax credits for home ownership. Or you may have heard the story that the government showed $98 million given out incorrectly to contractors. So the IRS, who is supposed to enforce non-compliance by tax credit affordable housing apartments, is not doing such a good job of enforcement. But these are the same government officials who believe the government should run the health care system. There is no government agency set up to take affordable housing complaints from applicants. So if you are an applicant and you feel you were treated unlawfully, you may have a hard time finding someone to help. We have put out numerous inquiries to HUD since July 2009 to verify HUD procedures, and we have not received one reply yet. Of course, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger's Office of Constituent Affairs, we call them the Dead Zone, has been silent for almost 2 months about these obvious violations of federal regulations. Yet, the State Tax Credit Allocation Committee continues to give out millions of dollars in construction funds and tax credits, but they have refused in writing to investigate and take action against Thomas Safran Associates. How many applicants across the country have been treated in such a shallow manner? Has this had more of an impact on African Americans or Hispanics or senior citizens? Stay tuned for part 2.